They call it Germany's gateway to the world, a city where ships from every continent docked, where fortunes were made, and where dreams set sail for distant horizons. Hamburg is not just a city. It's a port, a pulse, a promise, and behind its cranes and canals lies a story of trade, tragedy, music, and reinvention. The story begins in the Middle Ages, on the banks of the Elbe River. Hamburg grew as a settlement protected by fortifications. In fact, its name comes from Hammerburg, the fortress built in marshland. Its location was perfect. Rivers connected it to the North Sea, and the North Sea connected it to the world. By the 13th century, Hamburg had joined the Hanseatic League, that mighty alliance of merchants stretching across northern Europe. Hanseatic ships carried grain, timber, and fish, while Hamburg exported beer and cloth. Wealth poured into the city, and the merchants who ruled it made sure that Hamburg's independence was carefully guarded. Their motto could be summed up in one word: freedom. Freedom to trade, to prosper, to rule their own city. Hamburg's Hanseatic merchants weren't just businessmen. They were visionaries of their time. Imagine narrow wooden docks lined with barrels of herring, bundles of furs, and sacks of rye. Ships with high wooden prows sailed out toward London, Bruges, and Novgorod. Contracts were sealed with a handshake, and the city's merchant seal guaranteed safe passage. Hamburg's citizens prided themselves on fairness in trade, a reputation so strong that foreign merchants trusted Hamburg courts more than their own back home. In taverns, deals were struck over mugs of beer, and alliances shaped the wealth of the entire North. But freedom came with fire. In 1842, a great blaze raged through Hamburg. For 4 days, flames devoured houses, warehouses, even churches. 2/3 of the old town were destroyed. Yet out of the ashes, Hamburg rebuilt with wider streets, sturdier houses, and a determination that nothing could stop its rise as a trading hub. By the 19th century, Hamburg was booming. The port became one of the busiest in Europe. Millions of tons of goods passed through its warehouses, and millions of people passed through its gates. Between 1850 and 1930, over 5 million emigrants set sail from Hamburg to the New World. For many, the last sight of Europe was the spires of Hamburg disappearing on the horizon. The city had truly become a gateway to the world, not just for goods, but for human hope. In the 19th century, the port became not only a hub for goods, but a gateway for people chasing dreams. Picture families huddled together on the crowded docks, carrying everything they owned in small wooden chests. For many, Hamburg was the last place in Europe they would ever see. Steamships of the Hamburg America line carried them across the Atlantic to New York or South America. Some left in hope of farmland, others to escape poverty or political repression. For those who stayed behind, letters from America, sometimes filled with dollars, sometimes with heartbreak, reminded them that Hamburg was forever tied to lives across the ocean. Trade also brought darker chapters. Hamburg grew rich on colonial goods: coffee, cocoa, tobacco, cotton. Ships carried these products from Africa, Asia, and the Americas, and Hamburg's warehouses filled with exotic treasures. But this prosperity was entangled with the exploitation of colonies and peoples far from Europe. The city's prosperity had its costs, often hidden from those enjoying its wealth. Then came the 20th century, and Hamburg's fortunes shifted. During World War II, Allied bombers unleashed firestorms on the city. Operation Gomorrah in 1943 left much of Hamburg in ruins. Tens of thousands died, entire districts were reduced to rubble, and the proud port lay crippled. Photographs from the time show endless seas of ruins, only church towers poking out of the devastation. Hamburg, once again, would need to rise from the ashes. And it did. In the post-war years, rubble was cleared, docks were rebuilt, and Hamburg reclaimed its place as a trading capital. By the 1960s, it wasn't just cargo ships docking at the port. It was a different kind of cargo. Music. In the smoky clubs of St. Pauli, four young men from Liverpool found their sound. The Beatles spent over 2 years in Hamburg, playing marathon sets in strip clubs and dive bars, sharpening their skills in front of tough, rowdy audiences. John Lennon would later say, "I might have been born in Liverpool, but I grew up in Hamburg." The city gave birth not just to seafarers, but to legends of rock and roll. By the 1960s, Hamburg's St. Pauli district had a different kind of energy. The clubs along the Reeperbahn were wild, rowdy, and relentless. Young bands from Britain were booked to play endless sets, sometimes 7 hours a night. Among them were four boys from Liverpool who arrived unknown and hungry. The Beatles played in smoky basements, slept in cramped back rooms, and lived off coffee and cheap food. But it was here they learned stamina, perfected their sound, and became a band tough enough to conquer the world. John Lennon once joked, "We had to grow up in Hamburg because there was nowhere else to go." St. Pauli became famous for more than music. Its Reeperbahn was both notorious and beloved. A red light district, but also a cradle of nightlife and freedom. To some it was dangerous, to others it was liberation. Either way, it was pure Hamburg, rough, loud, but unforgettable. Meanwhile, the port grew ever larger. In the age of container ships, Hamburg transformed again. Huge cranes swung above the Elbe, loading and unloading steel boxes that carried the lifeblood of global trade. Today, Hamburg is Europe's third-largest port, handling millions of containers each year. The old warehouses of the Speicherstadt, once filled with spices and carpets, now form the world's largest warehouse district and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Their red brick facades stand as monuments to the city's trading soul. And yet Hamburg never stopped reinventing itself. On the very waterfront where ships once docked, a new landmark rises, the Elbphilharmonie, a shimmering glass concert hall perched on top of an old warehouse. It cost fortunes, ran years late, and faced endless controversy. But today, it is a symbol of modern Hamburg, daring, bold, unafraid to dream big. Walk through the city, and the contrasts strike you. Canals cut through neighborhoods, earning Hamburg the nickname Venice of the North. The Ulster Lakes offer calm waters right in the city center, while the fish market bursts alive at dawn with shouting vendors and fresh catch. The people of Hamburg, proud, independent, sometimes called aloof by other Germans, carry themselves with a quiet confidence. They know they belong to a city that has always looked outward, beyond Germany, beyond Europe, to the world. Hamburg's secret is this: it has always been more than a city. It is a portal. Through wars, fires, and change, it has remained a place where people arrive and depart, where cultures meet, and where the world comes together. And that is why Hamburg is not just Germany's gateway to the world. It is the world's gateway to Germany. From medieval merchants to rock legends, from Hanseatic warehouses to shimmering glass towers, Hamburg has lived many lives, and each one has left its mark on the city we see today. So the next time you stand by the Elbe, watching the cranes move against the skyline, remember, every ship carries not just cargo, but a piece of Hamburg's soul. If you enjoyed this journey through Hamburg's past and present, give this video a like, subscribe to All About Germany, and ring the bell to join us for more stories from the cities and regions that shape this country. And tell us in the comments, which part of Hamburg's history fascinates you most?